Hi guys, Mimi G here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a sew along to one of my new Simplicity Spring patterns, pattern 9929. And today we're going to be doing View B, the pants. Now, if you're new to sewing or you need a refresher, you can go ahead and check out my online sewing and design school called sewitacademy.com. Check out the free trial, learn the basics, and then come back and sew with me. All right, guys, we're gonna do 9929. We're gonna do View B, which is the pants. And remember that on the back of the envelope, you have a list of suggested fabrics. This is a knit garment, so it gives you a variety of knits that you can use. It also gives you a list of any notions. In this case, we're gonna need some elastic. And of course, the amount of yardage that you need based on the size you decide to cut. Now let's go over the pieces that we're gonna need to cut. You're gonna cut pattern piece number 8, which is our pocket facing. You're gonna cut 2. You're going to cut pattern piece number 7. This is our pocket. You're also going to cut 2. You're going to cut out pattern piece number 11. This is our casing. You're going to cut 1 on the fold. Pattern piece number 12 is your elastic guide. So you're going to be cutting this pattern piece but out of elastic. You're going to go ahead and cut out pattern piece number 9. This is the back of our pants. So you're going to cut 2. You're also going to cut out pattern piece number 6. This is the front of our pant, and you're going to cut 2. And then lastly, you're going to cut out pattern piece number 10. This is the gusset for our pants, and you're going to cut 1. Okay, go ahead and grab one pocket and one pocket facing. Now this design is intended to have some raw finishes. Now, if you choose to finish the edge of your pocket, you can, but I'm going to be doing it completely raw edge. So what you're going to do first is grab one pocket. You're going to place your facing wrong sides together, okay? And then we're just going to pin it in place. We're going to go ahead and pin it in place. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and stitch our facing down to our pocket using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. You're going to do your other pocket and facing the same way. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and attach our pocket to one front. So you're gonna go ahead and align it. And remember that I am leaving my edges raw. Align that notch that's on the side of the pocket to the side of the pant. Now, if you are choosing to have a finished edge around your pocket, then you would just turn and press 5/8 of an inch and then pin your pocket down. We're gonna go ahead and stitch across the top, down and around the bottom of our pocket, and then just baste it along the side. You have an option of doing 2 rows of top stitching. It really just depends on your personal preference. So let's go ahead to the sewing machine and tack our pocket down. You're gonna do the same exact thing to the other front and the other pocket. I'm stitching 3/8 of an inch away from the cut edge since I'm doing a raw edge. Just wanted to let you guys know in case you're doing a raw edge as well. You're going to do your other pocket the same way. Okay, we're going to go ahead and lay both fronts right sides facing, and we're going to go ahead and stitch our crotch. So go ahead and pin. Okay, since we're here, we're gonna go ahead and set this aside, grab your 2 backs. Okay, my backs are right sides facing, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna pin and sew our crotch curve. Okay, now this is a super simple step, so you're just gonna go to your sewing machine, you're gonna stitch both your back and your front crotch curves using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, now you do have the option of top stitching, so if you wish to do that, you're going to finish off your seam allowance, and then you're going to go ahead and press it to one side, and you're going to edge stitch. Now this is just an option, so you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Then you're going to go ahead and grab your back, and you're going to sew your crotch curve the same way. All right, I want you to go ahead and grab your gusset. We're going to go ahead and pin it to the front of our pant first. So you have some notches you want to make sure that you are aligning. I'm going to go ahead and match that up to my center front seam and pin. Then let's go ahead and pin down one leg. This is what's going to give you that really beautiful flare. And then you're going to do the other side. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and start at one end using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, stitching to the crotch, and then back down the other side. All right, now we're going to go ahead and grab the back pant, and we're going to go ahead and pin the back to our gusset. So right sides are facing. And you're just going to align it, and you're going to pin it the same exact way that we did for the front. Okay, now you're going to pin the other side the same way, and just like we did the front, you're going to stitch using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Once our gusset is done, we can go ahead and pin and sew our side seams. So let's go ahead, right sides facing. I'm going to pin my side seams. Okay, you're going to pin your other side seams the same way. Starting at the bottom, you're going to stitch all the way up to the waist using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. You're going to finish off both your side seams. Stitch your other side seam the same way. All right, let's go ahead and grab our waistband casing. Now you should have marked your markings for your buttonholes. I have also gone ahead and fused a little piece of interfacing to the back just to stabilize these buttonholes. So go ahead and make your buttonholes according to whatever machine instructions you have. And then we're going to go ahead and sew our casing together so that we can attach it to our pants. Okay, once you've done your buttonholes, you can go ahead and cut them open. And we're going to go ahead while we're at our machine and stitch our short sides together. Now in the instructions, it has you leave an opening, but I prefer to do it a different way, so that's the way I'm going to show you. Go ahead and stitch this using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now go ahead and press your seam open. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and press, fold in half, and then press our casing. I've already done that. I want to make sure that I'm looking at where my buttons are. Okay, now on your pattern piece, you have two stitching lines. The stitching line just below our fold line is a 1/2 inch. The stitching line below that is 5/8 of an inch. So we're going to go ahead and do those stitching lines at the machine now. The one in the middle is a little wider because it gives us room for our drawstring. Then we'll have 3/8 of an inch elastic at the top, and then just below once we attach it to our pant. Okay, so I'm starting about 5/8 of an inch from that seam, and I'm gonna be leaving that opening because that's how I'm gonna insert the elastic after we've already attached our casing to our pant. So you'll notice that I'm going to start and stop leaving an opening at both rows. So let's go ahead and start now. We're doing a 1/2 inch from the folded edge. Okay, as you can see, I left a little opening here. Now the other distance was 5/8 of an inch from this line here. So if it's easier for you to be able to do it accurately, you can measure out from your needle 1 1/8 of an inch, and then you know that you'll be stitching 5/8 of an inch all the way around. I'm going to start and stop at the same place as I did for this stitching line. Okay, you're going to go ahead and continue all the way around until you reach your previous stopping point. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and attach our casing to our pants. So you want to make sure that the buttonholes are on the front of your pants and it's right sides facing. You're going to go ahead and align that with your center front. Okay, you're gonna pin your casing all the way around. Okay, now that we have it pinned, we're gonna go ahead and stitch it down using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, now just the way we did before, leaving an opening, we're gonna do the same thing here. So I'm gonna start at the same place that I started before. We're using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. We're gonna go ahead and stitch all the way around, and you're gonna stop where you stopped before. Okay, go ahead and continue until you have stitched your casing all the way on and stop exactly where you stopped previously. Okay, I want you to go ahead and grab your first piece of elastic and either a safety pin or a tool like the one I'm using. You're gonna go ahead and insert it through that opening that we left in our casing. I'm gonna start at the very top. And you're gonna pull until you come out of the other side, the other opening, making sure that you don't lose the end of your elastic inside the casing. I wanna make sure I don't lose the end of my elastic, so I'm actually gonna pin it. Okay, I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna hold on to both ends. I can remove my pin. And then first, before I stitch these together, I wanna make sure that my elastic didn't twist. So you just wanna feel, don't let go, but you just wanna feel, make sure that it's not twisted, and it's not. So you're gonna go ahead to your sewing machine and you're going to stitch the ends together. Then we're gonna go ahead and do that again. Okay, once it's stitched together, you can just go ahead and pull and then distribute that elastic. Now you're gonna do the same thing again. So you're gonna go ahead and go back in and you're gonna do it on the last row. The very last thing that we'll do is we'll insert our drawstring through our buttonholes. So go ahead and repeat that process for the bottom casing. Okay, the last step is you're gonna go ahead and grab your drawstring and you're going to go in one buttonhole and just out the other. Basically the same thing we've been doing. So go ahead and finish inserting your drawstring. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start by closing up the opening in the casing. So I have my needle in where I had stopped stitching. I'm gonna back stitch and just stitch until I meet the existing stitching. Okay, now I'm gonna open my casing out and you're gonna do the same thing for those two openings that we have. Cut off any loose threads and then you can go ahead and serge your seam allowance. Okay, once you've closed out your openings, if you want to finish the hem of your pants, you certainly can. If you don't and you want to leave it raw edge like I am, that's also perfectly fine. It was intended to be that way. Once you're done with that, you are all finished. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this sew along. Remember to tag me on Instagram at MimiGStyle. I can't wait to see all of your amazing makes. Until next time, peace.